Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's panel discussion entitled Digital Disruption, Transforming the Maritime Industry with Cutting-Edge Technologies. I would like to thank the Cyprus Shipping News for the invite to moderate this session, which I accepted with pleasure. Before we get started, I would like to briefly introduce our esteemed panelists who bring a wealth of expertise and diverse perspectives to the table. Mrs. Katerina Raptaki, Digital Transformation, Cybersecurity, and In-Governance Specialist at Navios Group of Companies. Mr. Fouad Chaarani, Managing Director of Xenatus Global. Mr. Aris Manassakis, co-founder and CEO of Procureship. Mr. David Tropp, Vice President at KVH Industries. And Mr. Aris Constantinou, Marine Surveyor at Shipping Deputy Ministry. Our discussions today will explore the profound impact of digital technologies on the shipping industry, focusing on how AI and other innovations can transform operational landscape. Data sharing and collaboration between stakeholders, crew training and development, the emerging technologies and future outlook, the governments and regulatory bodies' role in fostering innovation and digitalization are also some of the topics we'll try to cover and get our panelists' views on in the next 45-50 minutes. Please note that we will be taking questions from the audience towards the end of this session, so please feel free to think of any queries you may have. And now, without any further ado, let's dive into the discussion. So we heard a lot about digital disruption and transformation, and I would like to have your initial thoughts on these 2 points. The first question is, what are the most significant digital disruptions impacting the industry today, and how AI and other technologies can optimize operations, safety, and the environmental impact while reshaping the competitive landscape? I will start with Mrs. Raptaki, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank CSN and Adonis and his team for inviting us in this exciting event. I come from Athens. I am from a shipping company, as you know. And shipping is very well known to be a slow adopter of technology. Right now, we are in a critical path where either we have to follow the trend for digital disruption, or we must stay behind with all the obvious consequences. So what we have in our hands right now is, first of all, the technology that is already there for other industries, and we need to adopt the technology ourselves. We have tons of data that are available from various sources, the major source being onboard the ship, from onboard the ship. So we have several applications with sensors and from various components and machinery from the vessel, main engine, other equipment. We have this data, and we also have, or start to have, the technology to analyze this data and produce meaningful reports, decision-making tools. So with the assistance of IoT and AI, we can manipulate this data and produce the reports that we need to have in hand in order to make decisions. Most importantly, it's not just about the reports, it's also about the actions after the reports. The difference with the past is that we now have instant information of what is going on board the vessel. So we can change something with obvious results, of course, for the operation and the efficiency, environmental impact, and all these things. And of course, this leads to the future, let's say, dream of everyone, that is the autonomous ship. Mm-hmm. But I will leave the others to talk about this as well. Yeah.
Mr. Chaarani, please, on the same question.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Great. God, this is a hot seat. I fully agree with you. I mean, we have loads of data that is available to us right now. And it's about how do we use the data, but not just how to use it. How do I have a model and a platform that allows me to actually harness it? Because just having access to it, having the reports and so on, that's great. But if the right people don't get the right data at the right time, decisions aren't going to be made the way they need to be. In regards to autonomous ships, I think it's, well, my personal opinion, small legs, like in Norway and so on, they're already running autonomous ships for small holes. If you're going to be in the middle of the Indian Ocean,
No.
not so sure. I agree. No. Not so sure. Many things go wrong on the vessel.
Yeah.
So I think it'll come, but maybe not in our lifetime.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manassakis, what's your take on this?
I'll talk regarding our line of business because I'm not aware of the autonomous ships. In the procurement space, the disruption is taking place already. So our company is offering a tool that is disrupting the daily activities of purchasers. So you see purchasing now having less tedious tasks, less manual work, and they can focus on more value-creative aspects of their business. In our journey, I would like to comment that when we began in late 2015, beginning 2016, the companies were asking us, why should I have a procurement platform like yours? Fast forward today, the companies are asking us, why should I use your system compared to another? Or what extra is it offering me compared to my in-house tools that I have invested in? So we're seeing the shift. They understand the need, the shipping companies, and they're just trying to locate what is the best tool for them. The same thing happens on the invoicing. We're seeing that our invoicing module is disrupting the way that the accounting departments work. Because again, there was a lot of manual work that users needed to perform. Another interesting fact that I would like to add on what Ms. Raptaki said is that I also believe that the next generation of reporting is not static reports, it's live data insights. When we began our journey in the first years, when we did presentations to especially the management level of shipping companies, they were always asking for reports. So we actually invested a lot of our software house in developing a very good suite of reports. And in practice, we saw that statistically, less than 10% actually ever use the reports. So what we believe now is the case is you need to have live data insights, that you notify the user on the spot proactively to perform an action instead of enabling the user to go in a different point in time and see historically what happened.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tropp?
Yes. I think the original question was, what are the biggest transformational technologies?
Major disruptions and how technology can enhance the optimization.
So from our point of view in the connectivity and network management sphere, we have seen a monumental shift in the last 2 or 3 years. As I also mentioned in my presentation, the proliferation of low Earth orbit satellite connectivity and the multiplication of available bandwidth on the vessels and the drop in cost per byte delivered has really changed. And you say traditionally shipping is a slow mover on adapting new technology, but I've never seen anything taking up as fast as Starlink on board vessels. That has really gone fast. So that has been a big transformation and opened up for a lot of new things, such as another big transformative technology over the last decade, cloud computing. Which is all of a sudden something you can consider on a vessel. Instead of having everything running on servers on the vessel, you can run things in the cloud. And this opens up for more streamlining of IT on the vessels to harmonize them with what's going on in the office. We see some of the customers we're dealing with completely changing their organizational structures, going away from office IT, vessel IT to just IT. So this is a change that's going on over the last couple of years. Big challenges, I would add to what Ms. Raptaki said, that the big data opportunity is still not kind of delivered. There is so much data out there, but you still need someone to efficiently retrieve it, normalize it, structure it, and then provide actionable insight, because otherwise it's just data. It's
Okay.
not information.
Thank you very much. Aria will come in a second back to you. So we heard few of the digital disruptions and how technology can assist in this. One of the main questions that many of us have is that what are the difficulties and challenges that shipping companies have and face in adopting and integrating these new technologies? And is that lack of appetite? Is it is it difficult to convince them to invest more, or what are the reasons behind this? And I would like to have the feedback from Mrs. Raptaki and then maybe David. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, I will repeat what I said before, that we are a slow adopter, so no argue on this. So one thing for sure is that there is a skepticism with technology when it comes to rapid adoption. But I believe that in most shipping companies, especially in the large ones, the main problem is not the lack of budget, because large shipping companies do have a budget to allocate. They have a culture of going with the trend, but the main problem, in my opinion, is that they don't have the strategy. They adopt scattered solutions under the pressure of the suppliers. We end up in purchasing some solutions. In most cases, these solutions are working perfectly, but we don't have a view, like a long-term plan on what to do with digital disruption and digital technology. So it's that we adopt, for example, a sensor solution that will produce some meaningful information, or something with telemetry or some blockchain applications. We don't have a long-term project.
And vision.
Yes, and vision. And to this, I believe that the new emerging role of the digital transformation manager, or whatever we call it, is something that will play a vital role. It's not just the IT manager or the COO. It's a new role that is coming from the ashes, and we need to adopt this mindset.
And everyone in the company got engaged with
the business managers must coordinate with this new person or new department in order to set a strategy, not just to purchase scattered solutions, which maybe we don't know what to do with the outcome.
Mr. Tropp?
Yes, I can continue on that. I think one of the things missing is good business cases. Because, yes, if you're a shipping company with 100 vessels, you can have a strategic group of thinkers who can come up with a plan, a long-term plan. But let's remember, the average ship owner has 2.5 vessels. They don't have a CIO or software engineers who can build IoT systems for them. So it's very much also up to the procurement, to the vendors to present solid business cases to the shipping companies, clearly stating how they can benefit from implementing technology. And that in itself is a difficult request, because we heard from Procureship how many vendors there are on each vessel. So to imagine that you can have a good system collecting data from at least the critical pieces of information in a harmonized way to produce actionable insight for the operators or for the technical maintenance teams, it's a big ask. And I can only see this becoming reality through widespread collaboration between the manufacturers and the vendors. And of course, the shipping companies need to say what it is they need, or at least sign off on the solutions that are presented.
Thank you very much. So indeed, and during the presentations, we heard a lot about data gathering. But in my view, data sharing and collaboration between the stakeholders is also two very important components in solving these challenges. So, and that's my next question now. It's how can data sharing and collaboration between the different stakeholders can assist in this and enhance the vessel performance? And this question will be addressed to both Mr. Manassakis and Mr. Chaarani. So please, Mr. Manassakis, if I have your take on this. Data sharing and collaboration between the stakeholders, how important is that?
Okay. It is very important because it helps us create synergies. Shipping companies, they are very afraid of sharing their data. We've seen that a lot. In our case, we obtain a specific ISO from a Bureau Veritas being audited every year that we maintain the best customer data security practices, and we showcase this always to potential clients, so they rest assured. The thing is that you need an objective third party that eventually shipping companies will trust. We try to be that party, and other software solutions try to be such a party, in order to gather the data, anonymously of course, and then be able to offer a benefit to all. So before I talked, for instance, for the recommendation engine of suppliers, this is a clear example of how data sharing provides value creation to all stakeholders. So if you have a vendor that has been onboarded to our system thanks to company A, and then he's promoted through our recommendation to company B, and he's a good vendor, then both company A and company B benefit from this data sharing, and also the supplier benefits because he gets a new order from a new client. Same thing happens with benchmarking reports. So when we're able to provide benchmarking reports and shipping companies can see how they are faring compared to the market in specific port areas, everyone can negotiate better, and you bring more efficiency to the whole supply chain. So it is very clear how a company that shares the data, in the end, they will benefit from this common wealth of data sharing.
Mm-hmm. So it's all about transparency and building a trustworthy environment, I think.
Totally.
In order for everyone to be convinced that there's a benefit, a clear benefit.
Motivation as well for benchmarking condition. I mean, you see how the others perform, and you try to enhance your performance.
This is a drive for, this is
It's a
new
drive
driver for
improving,
companies.
yeah.
Mr. Chaarani, please, what's your view on this?
I fully agree with you guys and your assessment, and especially earlier when you're talking about a digital transformation officer. And you're right, small companies don't have the budgets to have these kind of things. But I think whether small or big, the enterprises have to look at the holistic picture that comes around it, right? So I have the data. And let's maybe back up for a second. Today, we service clients in over 45 countries around the world. In 4 very distinct industries. And it's the same problem. It's not just the maritime, it's the same problem. As you said earlier, C-levels today in shipping companies have been accustomed to going out to buy an ERP, a CRM, an operation system, a this, a that, and so on. They haven't wrapped their mind around the concepts of how do I build a platform, an entire ecosystem, and I live in that ecosystem. And it's okay for me to share my data with my employees. It's okay for me to pull data from third-party sources and actually have it augment my data to present to my employees, to present to my staff, and possibly to keep my vendors honest, right? I mean, as a service provider, we're constantly challenged by clients, why you versus the others? And our answer is very simple, guys. It's about transparency. It's about the way I give you the entire platform to reach what you're after and to harness that data in it. And without the connectivities, without having the ability to have now Starlink and different models that give us these things are here today. We're just not using them. And we need a strategy on how to use them.
Indeed. Totally agree with you. Mr. Constantinou, in the end of your very interesting keynote speech, you made reference to the human element. And I totally agree with you that we should not neglect the social aspect of this transformation. So the question is, what is the role of crew training and development in this transformation?
Yeah. First of all, thank you again for the invite to participate in your panel. It's not very often you see 2 Arises on the same panel. Just allow me to say that. Coming back to your question, yes, I stressed that, and for those who know me, I personally, we at the Ministry were very sensitive on, I will correct myself, the human factor. And yes, the seafarers at sea are the backbone of global traveling and, making sure ships have to go where they have to go. And that comes in hand with training, as you very correctly stated in your question. Sufficient and continuous training will lead to crew members apply what they know and what they have learned on ships to better optimize vessel performance, cut down costs for the ship and keep the ship owner happy, and make sure they are out of harm's way. All aspects of training could easily be applied for ships, port operations, machinery, bridge equipment, in any aspect of that. In that spectrum, we need to analyze online training, not solely, but combined and part of, during contracts, not being ashore, save downtimes, during the contracts, traveling, costs and everything. I mean, if you go 20 years back, where I was still at sea, giving out age here, all we had is VHS video tapes during coffee break, just to watch some fire drills and whatever. Having that evolved with interactual training and tools and virtual realities and everything, that's be a key to success. And to insist on the key factors here on training is the well-being, both emotional and physical well-being of our people at sea. Professional training and continuous one are the key elements, the key factors toward optimizing and being able to utilize any AI systems in place. And it takes, it takes two to tango. You might have the state-of-the-art AI systems at a shipping company ashore or on a ship. If you don't have the proper, well-trained and equipped crew members, it don't work. It's never going to work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So,
indeed.
You want me
Please.
Yeah. We should not neglect the training for the shore personnel as well, not just the crew members,
yes,
of course.
Correct.
It's a bit different because we should not focus on the training of the particular technology applications, which of course is taken for granted that we will do this kind of training. But in my opinion, it's mainly to provide training on the company's vision and why do we need to trust technology and not fear technology that the technology will take over our tasks, our jobs,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and we will be left
Behind.
without jobs.
Yeah.
So it's very important to focus on this and to explain to the people in the companies that technology is a tool that will elevate our work. We should not hide behind
You're absolutely right. And
the
if you allow me,
difficulties, yes.
if you allow me to, thank you for this note, and if you allow me to come back on what you said, Mr.
Please.
Efthymiou, is the combined training for ashore and onboard personnel.
Absolutely.
As a bright example, most of you know the European Maritime Safety Agency in Lisbon,
Yes.
EMSA, well known as EMSA.
Mm-hmm.
All member states, as also administrations, visit quite often the area. A bright example there is the state-of-the-art virtual reality workshop they have, that you can combine remote surveys on board, or that's an ideal case scenario of what Mrs. Raptaki just said, of combine the chief engineer on board with the technical director in the office, or any other combination from ship and office. You can really connect on real time on ships and actually have an eye on what's going on, what is the problem with your usual. So it's all fascinating and new, but it has to be properly combined and balanced.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So moving now to the next topic, which is emerging technologies and the future outlook. I would like to hear from everyone, if that's possible, what are the most promising emerging technologies that could revolutionize the maritime industry in the next 5 to 10 years. It might be too early to assess, but if you could provide your view on this.
One thing that we have not mentioned so far, and I forgot to mention it myself, is blockchain technology. It has not been so adopted so far, but we are making small steps towards the full adaptation of blockchain technology that will provide, first of all, efficiency, transparency from one end to the other, supply chain optimization, contracts handling in a very, very efficient way. And this is something that will definitely disrupt the business. And of course, all this discussion about AI and data and blah, 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 like I said before, will lead to the optimum target for all shipping companies, which is the not necessarily fully autonomous vessel, but at least the remotely controlled vessel. I don't believe myself that we will ever go to this final result, a vessel crossing the Indian Ocean with no crew at all. But at least the basic functions will be controlled from the office, which means that all the skills that the seamen used to have so far, this must be transferred to the office and, of course, elevated with more advanced skills. So this will drive the future.
Thank you. Any other emerging technologies?
Absolutely. I happened to be speaking last week in Athens, and I got a similar question to it. And it's a little bit far away from AI, but I'm a very, very firm believer in it. I believe 3D printing. When 3D printing comes around on board the vessel, and I believe we were having the same discussion last week, right?
Right.
Is in regards to how do you handle vibrations on the vessels and how that... So there are ways around controlling it, but imagine 3D printing on board the vessel. Something breaks, and I don't have to wait, and I can just get it myself done. And from a cost perspective, it's a game changer. That's what I believe is a fantastic technology to kind of start really paying a lot of attention to.
That's very interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ari.
On that, coming from a marine engineering background, having new prospects and what you just elaborated, and keeping the point on autonomous ships, that being a marine engineer, that makes me lose my sleep, sometimes, Fully autonomous ships.
Yeah.
Imagine leaving Piraeus fully automated and bound for, I don't know, Venezuela, some port or something, having crossed the Mediterranean, Gibraltar Straits, and then facing all the dangers and the risks through the Atlantic Ocean. No, it's not going to happen. I don't know, during our generation or a couple of generations later, no.
Yeah.
If you combine the two and have a remotely operated vessel, or at least with not minimum safe manning, even less than minimum, like 2 or 3 people on board taking care that all the AIs on board work, yes. But I think fully autonomous ships, it's a really long shot, extremely long.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't know. This is my stake on it.
And it's also a wrong perception, I think, around the industry, that when we talk about autonomous shipping, we only define it as having a ship having no crew on board and traveling worldwide.
That's what the word means.
It's a joke.
Actually, yes,
Isn't it?
but for IMO there is a different definition.
Yeah,
So
okay.
At IMO there are different stages on how you define autonomous ship. So and there's also an ongoing discussion now for a separate code under ISM, which is the MAS code, and it won't be connected with SSW or any other convention. And we are in discussion now how to regulate autonomous shipping under MAS code. And there are many stages, many phases on how you define autonomous shipping. So it's not just a ship traveling without crew. That's the latest stage of autonomous shipping. Yes, please.
No, it's just a funny comment on this. I had a discussion with a guy from the Danish Maritime authorities. So the definition of autonomy is that it has its own will. Basically, you say, I want to go to Piraeus, and it says, nah, I prefer to go to Calcutta. That's the autonomous vessel of the future.
It's a Greek word, after all. So.
Yeah.
No, but I think hybrid, in our industry, hybrid is a big buzz term. I can't see why hybrid wouldn't be the right term for autonomy as well. On airplanes, they have been flying for themselves for 20 years. There's still pilots. I mean, you don't want an autopilot to navigate in the Strait of Malacca or the English Channel, but you might want it to take over when you're in the middle of the Atlantic. So the combination of autonomy and skilled people could be the winning combination.
Yeah,
So
but
maybe
if it is
it's less
autonomous,
less
automated.
Automated, yeah. But,
Mr. Manassakis, please.
no, I just want to make a joke because he said it will select Calcutta over Piraeus. I think it's not very smart. It will select Barbados or something.
Oh, okay. It's not enough depth.
Okay, so let's move on with one last question, which will be addressed to Mr. Constantinou, and it's related with the role of the governments and the regulatory bodies in fostering innovation and digitalization in our industry.
Wow.
So if you can please be brief, and then we will open the floor for questions.
Usually I'm not, I'm just taking on and on, but okay, I'll respect your time and your role as a panelist.
Full conference.
This is the spicy subject, the regulators, the bureaucracy and everything. But no, all joking aside, what we should keep in mind, any regulation from a national or international body, IMO, EU, EMSA, whatever, should have its goal and aim not to paralyze, and I'm talking on the benefit of the private sector, not to paralyze or cause heavy delays on any ongoing or future planned operations related to any digitalization or AI. Having said that, we do, now getting back into my role as a regulator and representing the ministry, we do have certain tools and regulations in place to monitor and control this, starting from the well-known GDPR regulations and procedures, and what you have to be, what I said on my keynote, be extremely careful and sensitive on personal processing and storage of personal data of crew members, people in the office, any vendors that work with us, because I'm not an expert on this field, but the gentleman and the lady here might agree that there's an immense traffic of database on 24 hours per day going back and forth, personal data, pictures, photographs, passports, IDs, everything, contracts, salaries, whatever. So we back into the regulator phase, we need to be able to monitor and see that on national and international level. And very briefly, we discussed it the other day over coffee, is we have NIS2, Network and Systems, coming into force very recently, proposing and having ship operators and port terminals and ship-related companies to have measures at place for cybersecurity, reporting, encouraging them and forcing them to report security incidents. There's, we have the very famous coming into force also the so-called single window of data and information, pre-arrivals, certificates, and all those things. If you look at them around, you need to. Everything has to be regulated. Otherwise, you have chaos. But then again, you have to keep it on a level where we allow the industry not to suffocate and work and properly do it. Avoid bureaucracy, avoid paperwork, delays, and all that.
Thank you very much for this. Peter, I know you well, but if you could please introduce yourself and please advise on to whom is address your question.
Sure, my name is Peter Michael. We're a technology solutions provider for Maritime. I have two questions for Katerina, and the first one is around the inconsistencies you have of the systems on board, because that's not always your choice, right? And I think we kind of in a situation where we want to bring AI and all this stuff into shipping, and disruption shouldn't be operational disruption, it should be technology disruption, right? We are almost like Apple Intelligence for Europe. We don't have the open source We don't have the ability to operate with other providers yet, and that's why we can't have Apple Intelligence in Europe. And the shipping's kind of the same thing. So are you still struggling with a lot of your solutions that you have on board being interoperable or not being interoperable, sorry, where you cannot connect them because kind of provider lockdown is my question. Are you suffering from this provider lockdown still a lot? And the second question is, if you're going to put AI, if you're going to introduce AI into your vessel operations, are you looking for the provider to be using AIs in their solutions that come to you, or do you want to start implementing your own operations AI on board the vessel?
Okay.
Sorry, if the first one wasn't very clear, it's just about are your providers not interoperable, not allowing you to work with other technologies?
Okay, this is number one problem with the IT departments in most shipping companies. We have several providers of onboard systems. There are cases, believe me, that we don't know what systems we have on board. There are some hidden systems that under pressure the charter has provided or the cargo owner has provided to monitor some things that are crucial for the company operation. But we don't have the luxury to monitor the whole system and where it connects in the planet. So we have no choice. The thing is, how do we ensure security of all these systems? For me, this is the number one concern. How do we ensure that these systems are not a critical hole in the systems, the whole ship's security? And how do we ensure that no data will leak outside without our control? So this is a number one concern, at least for us in the IT departments. And as regards the second question, whether we are going to adopt an existing solution, AI solution, from a vendor, or we are going to build it ourselves, pretty much like this.
Run it on the vessel.
Yeah, run on the vessel, yeah. I'm not for the idea of reinventing the wheel and building things from scratch when there is something out there that works already very well and has incorporated and adopted the technology that is available. So I believe that our role is to go through some trustworthy systems from reputable vendors, see some real use cases that bring us the reality of what these systems offer, and then possibly adopt some of them and integrate these systems with our existing ERP or plant maintenance or whatever systems we already have in the company. So to invest in having our own developers and building systems, AI systems or LLM models or ML models, just to create the same thing that is already out there, I don't know if it's worth it.
If I may just add to what you just said,
of course.
and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I see a lot of friends and clients that we work with in different capacities in the room, and they probably have heard me preach this many times, and if there's one message that I would like to leave everybody in the audience with, don't be afraid of it. You have to run pilots. You have to run proof of concepts. You're not sure where you're going to start. You're not sure how you're going to reach there. That's okay. You're going to have 50 vendors banging on your door trying to run through the proof of concepts, run through small pilots. There's an expression that says, fail small and correct. Don't go for big things. Go for something small. Fail at it 100 times. But then when you succeed, that success is what's going to be the game changer. Everybody's already moving at 100 miles an hour. Unless you're experimenting, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, but the thing is that for a company with 100 vessels, this is a luxury that yeah, you do have. But for a company with 2 vessels, imagine running POC with, I would say, 10 vendors.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So then it's
a bit difficult, yeah.
It's quite difficult.
Yeah.
So then it's about tackling that pain points that are making you really inefficient and trying to solve those problems. I fully agree with you, Katerina.
Yes.
Thank you. Another question?
So I'm going to ask us a seafarer. You've discussed about automated ships, partially or fully. We all know that electronic systems, they have limitations, like false echoes on radars or AIS being turned off, even though it's illegal. So how is AI going, is it possible for AI to remove these limitations?
No, you don't touch it.
What?
Big discussion.
I'll approach it from a systems perspective. You can have fail-safes through AI, right? Or through any mechanisms that even if somebody turns something off, you can have a fail-safe where a systematic automated process can overturn it. Then comes into compliance, comes into networking, comes into applications. It's really a big question. And it just depends what you're running on the vessel and how you're set up your vessel operations.
Maybe Aris?
After all
Big
these
question
systems-
and
sorry. No, it's okay.
A big question is a hot potato, and thank you for the question, for coming up with that. There's no definite answer. However, answering with an example, like think of 5-7 years ago, bridge, charts, as you said, coming from a seafarer's perspective. Here comes the era of ECTIS, okay? So we introduce that, we go on board, we make our inspections, we see the migration to fully ECTIS systems. Everybody's panicking, oh, where are my charts? How do I train? What I do? And this comes down to exactly the question, the fail-proof. There's no fail-proof or ideal scenario or equation. That is exactly the same story. There are numerous examples from migration from A to B on board ships, since you also ashore. But if you, I'm talking about nautical, for those of you not familiar with the terms, talking about nautical parts, nautical charts, maps that we take you from A to B, the classic traditional way. And then we came in, all of us, and introduced the ECTIS, the so-called famous data processing, semi-hybrid automated systems and all that. And those, during exactly that sensitive period for migrating from one to other, these concerns exactly came to point, and they eased through the system and everything is working properly. So there's no definite solution like black or white on that. But thank you for bringing this matter up.
Hello, my name's Lance Severia. I'm with ID Shore, and I had a question. Thank you for the panel. With AI is a tool that I think we all agree on, and it needs to be interpreted. And do you see in the future that you're going to have a specialist on board to interpret and implement AI decisions, or are you going to continue to rely on the captain and the chief engineer? That's my question. Who's going to handle all of this on board?
I can take a...
Please, Mr. Raptaki.
Okay. I think the AI will not be kind of a tool as such that they use on board the vessel. I think it will build into many of the solutions that are delivered to the vessels. We have seen through some of the CSN conferences, companies present solutions integrating AI, like Pylinet, I think, is coming next for profiling and staff evaluations, and we've seen Greywing on crew transfer software. We've seen Procureship on how you use AI. So I don't think that AI as such is a tool that they need to master on board the vessel. I think it's something that they won't even know about necessarily. It will just be there in the background doing the heavy lifting.
Right.
We have another question here.
Hello, Yannis Voudouris from Frederick University. One question to the audience. Two questions, please. I will attempt a throwback. Are we talking about smart systems that compute and contemplate sensors? Or we are talking about an autonomous entity called artificial intelligence? What is the barrier between the two? I'm in favor of the first, as the second tends to replace the captain. And the second question is, with the digitalization of all the data, especially this question goes to the port state, is it possible that at the end of the day, those documents of compliance, like say the classification documents coming from the flag state, may be counterfeited and or the database be breached and compromised? Thank you.
I take the second question.
Please.
Yes.
How about we start from the end, okay? Dr. Voudouris, thank you for the question. Yeah, breach of security, falsified documents. Even if you pick up an envelope by hand and run to the post office to do the job, you can still face the same risks. Nevertheless, we have a team of experts working on that digitalization scheme. Yes, it's a government body. Yes, it took some bureaucracy and some delays, but finally, fingers crossed, it will be utilized fully this year. And to answer your questions, yeah, through that system, whatever you did manually or semi-manually through emails or software applications, you can apply for exemption certificates, insert all your issue crew certificates and welfare. Everything you did so far, like manually through the phone or an email application or a software processing purchases and invoices, all that, could be done through a digital gate when properly completed and be ready to run and kick off.
Mr. Chaarani, please.
In regards to your first question, I don't believe it's a replacement of the captain. As my colleagues here were talking about, it's a hybrid approach, right? AI is intended to help. Let's actually break AI in pieces, right? Earlier, my colleague Aris gave a presentation on the pillars behind it. One of the core pillars of AI is automations, right? It's how does it help you automate things? How does it help you get things done faster? So I believe that's where you'll see a lot of it. You'll see a lot of automations, mundane tasks, repetitive things, takes care of it, gives you access to information a lot faster, so you're not having to wait on things and so on. Is it going to replace the decision maker? I hope not.
Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
Assist.
At the end of the day, you still need a human factor that's going to make that moral judgment code. That's why with AI, there's ethical AI.
Yes.
As humans, we are defining the boundaries. Now, eventually, AI will generate AI. So we have to be smart about how do we define those boundaries. And it's very different for corporations rather than for the general consumer. The general consumer is downloading an app, going on TikTok, or whatever it is, getting information that is user-driven, so moderating it. There is moderation, but not as much. In corporations, when you implement these things, the first thing that you do is you put the boundaries. You put the security, and then you build out outwards.
We set the rules of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Exactly.
And also that with the surge in telecommunications and satellite communications, we now are in a very favorable position that the vessel is considered to be an extension of the office. So the office is always there to support real-time the vessel. In the past, we had to find connectivity to transfer small bits and pieces of information and have an email sent to the office, wait for an answer. So now we have the luxury to have real-time assistance. So eventually the decision-making is maybe at the office side that assists the captain to take the final decision. So it's a hybrid.
Another question?
Captain Nikolaos, Pelagic Partners. IMO has a certain way to deal with challenges, risks, hazards, etc. Set standards. Considering digital transformation, disruption, and all of this, considering upcoming automated vessels, semi-remote, and all this, one of the biggest digital transformation will be cybersecurity. Based on your experience and expertise, what kind of standards would you expect IMO to consider to set new conventions? For example, we have human element, we have MLC, and other things on training to improve the human behavior on board. Similar, since we're talking about digital transformation, we have data. So we have data element. In this respect, what would you expect be the standards that will set the new framework on IMO? For example, some KPIs or procedures.
It's already in place.
Yes.
Plain and simple. IMO's committee, FAL, the well-known FAL, Facilitation Committee, deals exactly what you very clearly stated. It's governing and promoting, making mandatory technology developments from, again, ship owners, ship vendors, and member states like us. And they promote new technologies with special focus this late few months on autonomous/hybrid ships. And this is exactly what FAL committee does. And they meet like all the other committees of the IMO, like MSC, MEPC, MARSEC. FAL is dealing exactly with these aspects that you very correctly and updated, stated by your question/comment. I don't know if anybody else wants to add something.
We have another 2 questions, and we can then conclude the panel, yeah?
So the autonomous vessel is a hot topic, and I think it needs to be discussed more.
Fruit of the day.
Aris,
Yeah.
Constantinou, why do you have a lot of experience on board, and you know vessel operations today. Why do you think that we cannot reach autonomy, full autonomy? Because today, we're in the most difficult time. We're trying to be autonomous, but we have people on board. People make mistakes and they get hurt, right? So we're in the difficult stages now. Waymo can navigate through San Francisco traffic with passengers on board, with a Jaguar that you wouldn't recognize if you saw it was a Jaguar. So you're not going to use the same ship. So imagine you're transforming the ship to, I don't know, a closed capsule, fully autonomous. Cybersecurity is the biggest challenge, I believe, but from vessel operations, what are the challenges? Why can we not be fully autonomous, I think, in the next 5 years?
Please allow me to answer you with a question, if I may. Would you ever board a flight, the Boeing or Airbus flight, 33,000 feet up the sky, and while you're having your meal, you get an AI voice, "Welcome on board, I'm the captain." And you're flying from Piraeus to San Francisco, like you stated. Would you? You don't have to answer, but I'm just putting this question forward for the audience.
No, but actually, when there's very harsh conditions, the pilot turns it off and the plane lands itself, right?
No pilot on board. AI.
Yes, but I'm saying in harsh conditions, the plane lands itself when there's no visibility, so they rely on the system.
The human factor is there to switch off the. What you're commenting on, fully automated with the clear definition of the word. Unmanned. UMS, completely UMS, aircraft or vessel. We've been working together for several years. You have the experience in the background to that. It's a wishful thinking. I would love that. You know, seeing a fully autonomous vessel going through Gibraltar Straits with all that comes down to it. We've been there many times, or any other area on the globe. It might be coming, but it's not there yet. We don't have the answer. We don't know how it's going to be. The safest way to tackle this is this hybrid mode. And then 10 years from now, having this conference here in Limassol or Piraeus or wherever, when we do have hybrid working fully successful, we might be talking on something fully autonomous, but I don't have an answer in mind to say why not.
But the fully, you bring in the human factor in. The fully autonomous is, would you allow a cargo plane to fly and land by itself? We're not on board. Humans are the reasons why we worry so much about the journey. If the human's out, it's just the cargo, which is, some might argue, is more valuable than the people.
MSC cruises, Carnival cruises.
Guys, you can talk for hours on this subject. We leave it for next year. We leave it for next year's CSN ICT conference. We will have, let's say, autonomous ships as
Please do.
a panel. We have the last question, and then we go to the next presentation.
One last one. I just look at the dictionary on the synonyms relating to the word passive. Apathetic, indifferent, laid back, non-violent, acquiescent, asleep, compliant, docile, etc. So what considerations may take into account once we train captain to rely on AI decisions? What ramifications would that have to STCW and to the safety of the ship? And I'm making a parallel example with F-35 fighter jet. Although up to 4th-generation fighter jets, you rely on dogfights. F-35 rely on a long shot beyond the horizon. At the end of the day, the F-35 pilot is a computer handler. But is he a good pilot or he is a good computer handler? Thank you.
Way out of my league.
Well-
Dogfights,
I'm not
F-35,
sure what the
no.
question was.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, just a final comment on
Final
the
comment,
SCW,
and then we
because
close,
there were references to SCW. Just to let you know that we're now we have started the process of reviewing the SCW, and within 2025, we're going to have the phase 2 of the revision of SCW, and of course AI and other technologies, emerging technologies, have been included in the focus area of this comprehensive review. So what we discuss now is on the agenda of the review, and there are different correspondence groups for each focus area. So we still have a lot of work to do on this, but at least it is on the agenda. So, and that's the most important aspect. And of course, as you all know, SCW sets the minimum standards. So each company can assess what are the additional training required for their crew. So on SCW, we can go to the up to the extensive stage of training people. And imagine that we're discussing now, and we'll conclude the revision in 2027. So we're discussing a revision in 2024, 2025, for a convention that will come into force, agreed in 2027, and then provide a grace period of 18 months. So we're on the table discussing something that will come in compliance in 5 years from now. Unfortunately, this is IMO. This is the procedure. And as I said before, each company has to do its homework and see what is the additional training required for its crew. So with this, I would like to thank the panel for participating in this panel discussion, and of course, the attendees for this lively discussion and engagement. Thank you very much, and wish you all a nice and productive day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are already by half an hour late, but I think it was worth it, and I would like to thank the panelists for the their interesting interventions. And now, let's go deeper into shaping a harmonious AI future, starting from a more human-centric approach. And I would like to invite Mrs. Chrysoula Patrikiou, Business Development Director from Pilinet